Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Silver Star. If this is your first time on this channel, click the first link down in the description to go back to the intro. Or if you'd like to see just what's been going on recently, click the second link down in the description to go back to Numbers 15. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right on in to Numbers 16, verse 1. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, representatives of the congregation, men of renown. They gathered together against Moses and Aaron, and said to them, You take too much upon yourselves, for all the congregation is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? So when Moses heard it, he fell on his face, and he spoke to Kohath and all his company, saying, Tomorrow morning the Lord will show who is his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near to him. That one whom he chooses he will cause to come near to him. Do this. Take censers, Korah and all your company. Put fire in them, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord chooses is the Holy One. You take too much upon yourselves, you sons of Levi. Then Moses said to Korah, Hear now, you sons of Levi, is it a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the work of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to serve them? And that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you? And are you seeking the priesthood also? Therefore, you and all your company are gathered together against the Lord. And what is Aaron that you should complain against him? And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, We will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you should keep acting like a prince over us? Moreover, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. Then Moses was very angry and said to the Lord, Do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I hurt one of them. And Moses said to Korah, Tomorrow, you and all your company be present before the Lord, you and they, as well as Aaron. Let each take his censer and put incense in it. And each of you bring his censer before the Lord, 250 censers, both you and Aaron, each with his censer. So every man took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and stood at the doors of the tabernacle of meeting with Moses and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation of them at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. Then they fell on their faces, and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and you be angry with all the congregation? So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the congregation, saying, Get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, Depart now from the tents of these wicked men. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins. So they got away from around the tents of Korah and Dathan and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents, with their wives, their sons, and their little children. And Moses said, By this you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of my own will. If these men die naturally, like all men, or if they are visited by the common fate of all men, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord creates a new thing, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belong to them, and they go down alive into the pit, then you will understand that these men have rejected the Lord. Now it came to pass, as he finished speaking all these words, that the ground split apart under them, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, with their households, and all the men with Korah, and all their goods. So they and all those who went with them went down alive into the pit. The earth closed over them, and they perished from among the assembly. Then all Israel who were around them fled at their cry, for they said, Lest the earth swallow us up also. And a fire came out from the Lord, and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Tell Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, to pick up the censers out of the blaze, for they are holy, and scatter the fire some distance away. Censers of these men who sinned against their own souls, let them be made into hammered plates as a covering for the altar, because they presented them before the Lord, therefore they are holy. And they shall be a sign to the children of Israel. So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned up had presented, and they were hammered out as a covering on the altar, to be a memorial to the children of Israel, that no outsider who is not a descendant of Aaron should come near to offer incense before the Lord, that he might not become like Korah and his companions, just as the Lord had said to him through Moses. On the next day, all the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron, saying, You have killed the people of the Lord. Now it happened, when the congregation had gathered against Moses and Aaron, that they turned toward the tabernacle of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of meeting, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Get away from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. So Moses said to Aaron, Take a censer, and put fire in it from the altar, put incense on it, and take it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from the Lord, the plague has begun. Then Aaron took it, as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and already the plague had begun among the people. So he put in the incense and made atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living, so the plague was stopped. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died in the Korah incident. So Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, for the plague had stopped. Alright, if I had to give this chapter a single theme, I'd say it would be that the people did not know their place. Which is really ironic, because God had just finished spending a lot of time giving them just that information. It's also ironic because this takes place not long after the incident with Aaron and Miriam rising up against Moses, and we all know how well that turned out. As always, the people of Israel are proving to be not only incredibly forgetful, but equally rebellious. The chapter begins with 4 men of Israel leading a group of rebels against Moses and Aaron in order to question their authority as God's chosen leaders. Sound familiar? Like I just said, Aaron and Miriam just tried pulling that stunt against Moses not too long ago, and that ended in disaster. What hope could these guys possibly have if even the high priest was unable to challenge Moses' authority? And what was the logic behind their rebellion? It wasn't too much different from Aaron and Miriam's logic, really. In these four guys' minds, they were thinking, hey, we're Israelites, so that means God has chosen us too. Who does Moses and Aaron think they are, making themselves leaders over us? In reality, the primary instigator of this rebellion was Korah, a Levite who was obviously jealous of Aaron's position as priest. The wording of the chapter also seems to indicate that Korah had convinced a number of his fellow Levites to join in his jealousy. Moses falls on his face, which he's been doing a lot of lately, and told the rebellious Levites that God would test them and Aaron the next day and show them who the Lord had in fact chosen. All they needed to do was show up with their censers, some fire, and incense to present to God. After that was all done, God would take care of the rest. Moses also asked Korah and his rebellious company why they were not satisfied with what God had given them. After all, the Levites were separated from the rest of Israel as God's chosen caretakers of the tabernacle and everything in it, as well as the care of the people. They also received benefits from that position that none of the other 11 tribes could even approach for fear of death. Korah, in particular, was a Kohathite. You may recall that the Kohathites were in charge of carrying and caring for the most holy things in the tabernacle when Israel marched. That means that Korah and his family already held a very high position in Israeli society. What more could they want? To Korah and his cohorts, it was more important to have the worldly position of priest with all the temporary benefits and esteem that came with it than to be where God wanted them to be. In other words, their ambition and pride blinded them from recognizing that God already had them where He wanted them, and why that was the best place for them to be. Then Moses tried summoning the other two instigators, Dathan and Abiram, so he could try and talk sense into them too, but they wouldn't have any of it. They blamed Moses for dragging the people out of Egypt, which they considered to be the land flowing with milk and honey. Why blame Moses, though? He was just the messenger and God's chosen instrument. As always, their complaints were actually directed toward God. Moses was so angry at this insolence and disregard for God that he asked for their sacrifices to not be honored, and I doubt that they would have been anyway. When the next day came around, Korah had managed to get the entire nation to stand against Moses and Aaron. Then God came down and told Moses and Aaron to separate themselves from the people, because He was ready to wipe them all out, and quite justifiably too. As always, though, God stayed His hand because of the intercessions of Moses and Aaron, which God, of course, knew would happen. Regardless, the instigators had to be dealt with. So God told the people, through Moses, to get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Then, as yet another sign of His support for Moses and Aaron as Israel's leaders, God caused the earth to open up and swallow the instigators, their families, and everything they owned, before closing the earth back up. Right after that, he sent fire down from heaven and consumed the 250 rebels that had challenged Moses and Aaron in the burning incense test. While we're on the idea of signs, God had Eleazar, who was one of Aaron's sons, collect the 250 censers of the burned up men and make a covering for the altar out of them as yet another sign and reminder that the priesthood belonged to Aaron and his bloodline alone. Everyone else would incur God's wrath if they tried overstepping that boundary. Now you would think that this whole fiasco would calm all this rebellion for a while, but you would be forgetting how utterly stupid these people are. Instead of things calming down, they only got worse, with the people accusing Moses and Aaron of killing Korah and the other instigators. Did they seriously forget that fast that it was God who did all that? I mean, really? And finally, God was so fed up at this point that he actually started wiping all of them out by means of a plague. But he didn't kill them all immediately, which was an incredible mercy, all things considered, because it gave them one last opportunity to repent. It doesn't seem like they took the opportunity, though, because by the time Aaron ran there to intercede for them, 14,700 of them were already dead. The stupidity of these people continues to astound me. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. And may God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh, to be fruitful where you are, and to forget the pain of your past. And the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all soon with Numbers 17.